Alright, I do believe we are good to go. Things are looking good. The restream is running the right way. The game is playing the way it's supposed to. Not bad. What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and we're back once again to play a little bit of that Destiny 2 here on PC. Been a little bit busy. Bit of a busy summer for your boy TBL. It has certainly been a busy few weeks. Man, got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, we had the Microsoft Activision deal finally get finalized yesterday because it turns out the government can't just say no to that. No matter how much they may really want to. They can't just shut that deal down, so that's definitely going to be happening. Since the last time we talked, you know, it's been a topic of conversation here for a while, the sort of doldrums, the mid-season doldrums that we've been thrust into here in the world of Destiny. Seems a lot of people are pretty tired of the same old here in the world of D2. And Bungie has been making damn near constant missteps when it comes to creating content for the game. And it seems like the community, certainly the PvP community's tolerance for that is at its end. So we'll be talking a little bit about that as well as a few other things to cover and go over. But first and foremost, how are you? I've missed you guys. Man, have I missed you guys. You know, whenever I don't stream, I absolutely miss the conversations. I miss hanging out with you guys. My favorite thing to do, and it's the only reason. Listen, let me be honest. Y'all are the only reason I play this game. For the last week, I don't think I've jumped on Destiny maybe more than once. And I think the one time I did jump on it was because I wanted to see what Xur had. Yeah, I think that was last Friday. That's it. I just jumped on, saw what Xur had, jumped off. I have been lost in other games for the past few weeks. And that is, it is by design. Shall we say. Absolutely by design. There are other things to play, and when you talk about whether or not people are getting a little, not done with Destiny, but just a little tired of the same old with it, I definitely identify with that. Yo, hello to all the early stream chatters. Six, good to see you over there on Rumble, as well as you, Big Squeak. Rumble has been popping off, by the way. It's had by far the most views of any of the channels, and that makes me happy because I have been shilling Rumble for the longest time, and it's about time that platform really took off. They've made some really big power moves over the past few months, and man, it's really good to see that Rumble is getting the attention it deserves. It's a great platform. It's getting better by the day. Anybody who's looking to make content, I would 100% recommend that you make a Rumble channel. Yo, Dad Marcus, you were popping up all over the place. I see you over there on Kick, over there on Rumble. By the way, follow me on Kick. Kick.com/theblacklink. I was able to secure that username. Yo, Mamazon, Shiloh, you're over there on the YouTube side of things as well as on Rumble. Good to see you, girl. Hope you have been well. Yes, YouTube is about a half a second ahead of Rumble. I haven't been able to find out why that is. I think it's just differences in the way it encodes things. That seems to be just the general the general answer is just that it's just YouTube encodes things a little bit faster than Rumble does, so it's just a wee bit ahead of things. I'd imagine it's probably the same for Kick, because the way I've got this set up, because I'm actually streaming to 3 different platforms right now. We are on YouTube, we are on Rumble, and we are on Kick. Hold on, wait a second. Let's pop that. See if I can bring those stats up on stream. Let me... it shows up for me, but I don't see it on my stream preview. That's odd. Wonder why I don't see that. Reveal your secrets to me. Oh well. What I was gonna do is So the way I have my OBS set up, I've basically got a a HUD overlay
Another submine fragment, Guardian.
for all the different platforms set up. That basically doesn't show video, of course, that would destroy encoding, but it shows basic stats for all the platforms. Basically to show you that you're live on all the platforms, how many concurrent viewers you currently have, all the chats. I'm gonna see if I could bring that up. I have an overlay for it, but it doesn't show up on OBS. Probably have to set up basically a separate window capture for that, but we're not gonna mess with that live. You guys know how it is. Every time I stop streaming, I usually break a bunch of things. I ain't trying to break nothing today. Right, Arc Buddy, do your thing. It's amped, boys. Yo, Darth City, it's good to see you, man. White Direwolf, what's up, man? Good afternoon from the UK. Yeah, man, you're getting close to the end of your workday. Meanwhile, mine just started. I'm ready for the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but it's been a long, long week for me. It's been a long couple of weeks. Even without some of the gaming stuff that's been going on. It has been a long few weeks for me. In particular, because of a certain event that happened. If you guys follow the YouTube channel, which you know most of you guys do, you saw that I put a post up the other day saying that I had a story to tell you guys. the next time we went live, ooh boy, I've got another one for the record books. If you guys remember those old TBL stories where I just do nothing but catch L's, like the infamous Wendy's story. And the tainted jelly beans. You know, that classic TBL lore. I've got another, possibly my greatest L of all time to list upon you. I'm going to hold off and wait until a few more of the regulars pop in before I tell that story, because I only want to ever have to tell it once. It's bad, though. It's real bad. Your boy has been getting cucked for the last, basically... Let's see. Well, at least for the last 3-4 years. Super cucked for the last 2 years. But big time cucked for it, probably at least 4. In like the most hilariously incompetent way possible. Looking forward to telling you of my shame when it comes to that. And my rage. Because more than the shame is the rage. But speaking of L's, man, what was it? The FTC caught a pretty big L this week. Their challenge, their antitrust challenge to the sale of Activision to Microsoft has fallen through. Court's thrown it out. Nope, it is not a monopoly to allow Microsoft to buy one gaming company. And to be honest, some of the arguments the FTC and Sony were using in that were a little ridiculous. But Your Honor, we can't have this one game if Microsoft buys Activision. Meanwhile, Activision's like, no, we're still going to produce that game for you, at least, you know, for the next 10 years. But it's still bad. Yeah, it turns out that that argument doesn't really work. Hold on, let me pull this up. Get some of those. Get some of that data. Get some of that data out there, because it's actually a really funny story. Sony, some of that data, possibly caught the largest. Oh, you probably just heard me for a little second there. That's my overlay playing. But Sony probably caught the largest L in quite some time. Because, man, are they terrified. Absolutely terrified of Microsoft owning Activision. Why? Because despite all of Activision's problems, it still produces some of the best-selling games every single year. Call of Duty makes bank. Blizzard, you know, is a part of Activision as well. May not make quite as much money as it used to, but it's still doing good with stuff like World of Warcraft. Of course, we just had Diablo come out, and Diablo's an absolute success. But really, this is about the Call of Duty money. This is about that billion-dollar franchise that, despite the fact that the last 3 or 4 CODs have been all basically mid, mostly due to stupid dev decisions, but especially in the case of Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2, holy moly. Just absolutely awful decision-making taking place in those games. But, even despite all of that, they still make $1 billion every single year. It's unbelievable to me. Get him! Okay. Don't ever underestimate the power of Two-Tailed Fox. This thing is still one of the best exotics in the game. For damage, for utility. Look at that. Huge amount of damage. It deals burn, it suppresses, and it jolts. This thing is a bad, bad boy. But yeah, really we could look at this as Call of Duty. Despite the fact that Sony, owns other basically major development houses like Naughty Dog and Square Enix now, essentially. They don't really own, well, they ostensibly own Square Enix now. To the point where new Final Fantasy games, are basically Sony exclusive. Like Final Fantasy VII, they haven't even announced a PC date for that yet. It's just like, oh, nope, it's coming out on the PS5. You can get it on the PS5. Despite the fact that they've contracted a bunch of developers, they got real butthurt when Microsoft got the biggest one out there in terms of Activision, and it is largely because of the Call of Duty influence. They know Call of Duty is a generational moneymaker. It will almost always be a guaranteed benefit to your platform, and they really don't want Microsoft to have that. Well, too bad. Really wanting something to not happen does not make that something illegal. And so they got the slapdown this week. Microsoft's purchase of Activision is going to go through. I'd imagine that'll probably be finalized by next year. And then we're going to be entering an interesting new age of gaming. Because while Call of Duty games and all that kind of stuff is still going to be produced on PlayStation platforms, which, by the way, there's a financial incentive for Microsoft to do that, because they still make a bunch of money off of those Sony PlayStation sales. The sales on the PS5 platform. That money still goes to Activision, and now is going to still go to Microsoft. So they're not going to cut that off immediately. But you are going to start seeing some exclusive stuff coming to Microsoft. And I'm all about it. Can't wait for it. The thing that I want is for, hopefully somebody gets the secret one up there. The thing that I want to see is Microsoft has I won't say a heavy hand in controlling their dev houses, but they do. Right now, Microsoft is on a major bend of focusing on customer satisfaction and player feedback. They aren't the Naughty Dog type of dev house where it's like, oh, it's not about the player experience. It's about the storytelling we want to do. That's not the game Microsoft plays. They're trying to foster goodwill with the gaming community. And they've been doing a pretty darn good job of it over the past few years. With Game Pass, which is easily the best subscription service in gaming. And a lot of the other decisions that they've been making. And it'll be interesting to see how they enact some of that control over Activision, who for the past few years has famously not been listening to their player feedback at all when it comes to managing their game. It'll be interesting if Microsoft starts looking at some of that player feedback and saying, hey, you know what, maybe you should change a few of these things so that you aren't pissing off your player base eternally. Rift is just way too good. You mix that in with the damage resistance you get from Arc now, from being jolted and whatnot. It's just, you're almost as unkillable as you are in a well. Almost. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And, you know, Activision, again, attempting to foster a lot of player goodwill. It'll be interesting to see if some of those old Activision franchises get a breath of fresh air, get some new life in them. Are we going to finally see a proper revival to like games like Spyro? I'd love to see that. Very interesting, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. How do you feel about the Activision Blizzard Microsoft merger? Of course, there is the other half of that, where could they go full tyrant and say, okay, Activision Blizzard's games, all Microsoft now. You got to be playing on PC, or you got to be playing on an Xbox. You want to get that latest World of Warcraft expansion. Well, World of Warcraft's not on Sony, or not on PlayStation anyways. We'll use another example. But you want to get that, you want to get some of that latest Call of Duty content. Got to come to Xbox. Me, I don't think that's great for business, but I don't personally have a problem with it either. I'm a very free market kind of guy. And I think, hey man, if that's where the market leads, then Sony's just going to have to basically come up with their own answer for that. Now again, I don't think that's going to happen because Call of Duty makes a bunch of money off of PlayStation. But it'll still be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Whew. Thank you. Thank you, Rift, for allowing me to ignore responsibility. Hey, back off. Microsoft destroyed Halo. Microsoft is bad for creativity and gaming. Come on, man. That doesn't stop the fact that they have the most money and they can buy whoever they want. By the way, I wouldn't say Microsoft destroyed Halo. 343 destroyed Halo. There is no absolving 343 of what they did with the Halo franchise. Now you can say, oh, they were following Microsoft's directions. Okay. You'll need to prove that. But man, no, that's like saying, oh, that's like when they used to say, oh, Activision destroyed Destiny. No, Bungie destroyed Destiny. No, we don't lay that blame on Activision, and that's become all the more apparent now that Activision's not in the picture when it comes to Destiny, and the game is not doing great. Not doing great. Forgot about that. Let's swap over to finish up some of those activities. Bro, you talking corporate L's, TBL? Let's chat about the stupid Magic the Gathering reveal stream yesterday. I'd rather not think about that. That was not great. Then again, you know, Magic the Gathering, they've been, just like Games Workshop, they've been charting a series of L's over the past couple of years. Like, really questionable stuff. The kind of stuff that really makes you sit back and say, man, we should have gate-kept our hobby way harder. And listen, we need to. We need to gatekeep our hobbies because the people getting into them are destroying them. Yep, Dungeons and Dragons crashing and burning itself, basically lighting its own fan base on fire. Whew. Microsoft still needs to negotiate with the CMA. That is true. Expectations are for the deal closing by the end of the month. I think that's optimistic. I remember them saying something about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't get finalized until early next year. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be an interesting world. The console wars have heated back up again. Although, is it really a console war? Because if it was, the unquestioned, undeniable winner is Nintendo. As usual. Who isn't even in the conversation for current console wars, but is basically annihilating everything in terms of customer satisfaction and sales. Everybody's sitting here talking about, oh my god, Call of Duty is going to be Sony only. What is Microsoft going to do? And Nintendo's like, here's another multi-billion-dollar Pokemon game. That is exactly the same as the last multi-billion-dollar Pokemon game. And they somehow still make a bestseller out of it. I don't understand it. Nintendo has got the juice. And also, the Wii, or the, shoot, I almost called it the Wii. The Switch, for some reason, still selling like hotcakes. It's about time they made some kind of iterative upgrade to that. To maybe challenge some of the specs on the Steam Deck. Although I guess Nintendo doesn't have to. The Switch is still selling massively. Nintendo doesn't need to make a more powerful console. I don't know how they get away with that. Every single generation. Every generation they have the most underpowered console. But they still style on just about everybody. Well, not every generation. Wii U didn't do great. Like every other generation with Nintendo. But yeah, they're laughing their way to the bank. Gotta admire it, though. Hold this. Didn't Pokemon Go open world with the last one, though? It did. Although I guess technically Sword and Shield were kind of pseudo-open world. And they've just been continuing that trend. But yeah, you know, Zelda came out a month or two ago. It broke the bank, and is great, by the way. Tears of the Kingdom is a phenomenal game. It's just such a fun little sandbox. I legitimately saw somebody make a walking, a bipedal tank, a Metal Gear, just in that game with some of the tools you have available in it. It's hilarious and terrifying. Yeah, dude, Darkon, Wizards of the Coast have been making rather curiously cucked decisions for quite some time. Just like Games Workshop and so many other companies out there. Like, another one. Did you guys see what these Skullgirls devs are doing right now? Like, what are you morons doing? I will never understand how these successful companies that have an inbuilt loyal fan base will just look at that and be like, yeah, no, it's time to destroy that. You know, no, the Skullgirls devs seems like they've basically fired a lot of their old design leads, have declared that they made the characters too sexually appealing, are going to be pulling back on that, and even basically took away some things that previous backers of Skullgirls had already paid for. Like, there was a digital art book that that you could get if you were an early backer of Skullgirls years ago, that they just basically disabled for people who had already purchased it. What do you mean? Who is letting these people into these dev houses? Why? Who hired these? Whose mans is this? Who did this? Because that is unbelievable. Twitter got to the Skullgirl devs, but it's like they fired some of the previous leads there, people who made Skullgirls, and unanimously decided no. There will be no more sexualization of these cartoon characters. Ugh, the world has gone absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I'll never understand it. Still shake my head at the disrespect towards Nintendo during the Microsoft Activision stuff. Yeah, that was funny. Sitting there pretending that, oh no, Microsoft is already the biggest name in the game, and that they'll be too powerful, and there's nobody bigger. Meanwhile, Nintendo, who is bigger, sitting there like, no, we're just here making games. Yeah, They treated Nintendo as a non-factor in those negotiations. When Nintendo's doing better than literally all of them. Could you imagine, though, like the what-if scenario, the Elseworlds scenario? So this Microsoft Activision deal goes through. They buy them, and let's say they do the sneaky thing and, like, continue providing or support for currently released Call of Duties on Sony, but don't provide any new Call of Duty content for any other platforms. It's just PC, because, you know, Microsoft's invested in that, and the Xbox. You know, they pull a sneakeroo, because I think the way they worded it, that they were going to continue producing content on all platforms, is a little sneaky. I don't remember them saying explicitly that new COD games are going to continue to come out. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. Thought I remembered them basically saying they were going to continue producing content, which can be literally anything. But let's imagine they do the sneaky thing. Continued support for currently released CODs, maybe this year's COD on all platforms, but next year and beyond, Microsoft Xbox exclusive. But like I said before, player satisfaction with Call of Duty is not doing too good right now. A lot of people who are upset at COD, just like they are with Bungie right now. What if, immediately after this, is when people finally have enough with Call of Duty, and the sales finally start dropping through the floor, like people have been predicting for the last decade? Wouldn't that be funny? Just an Omega Smackdown. I had that same thought about COD. Yeah, I think that'd be funny. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, COD is just... it's an institution at this point. It's going to take a lot for it to finally not meet its sales number. Can you imagine a year where a Call of Duty game doesn't make $1 billion? And I don't remember if Vanguard did or not. Oh, excuse me for using the incorrect name. I don't remember if Vangarbage did or not. I'm pretty sure Cold War did. I know Modern Warfare 2 did. God, it makes me mad. Modern Warfare 2 was so promising. It's like a better version of Modern Warfare 2019, where if they just tweaked a few things, they could have basically a greatest of all time situation on their hands. Everything they need is there, but they refuse to do it. They are dedicated to the garbage maps, to the garbage kill streak system. They're dedicated to poor decision making. And one of these days, Activision, pow, boom, straight to the bargain bin. As a WoW player, I want WoW and ESO crossover now. Yeah, you know what? I hadn't even thought about that. They do own ESO. Right, because, oh man, they got Bethesda now, too. Oh boy. Oh boy. That could be interesting. Or better yet, how about an ESO WoW crossover with a nice little hint to a little hint to Final Fantasy 14 in there. And that's the kind of stuff that Microsoft could order now. You know what? I want an event where we have an ESO, Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft crossover event. We get some World of Warcraft bosses and items in ESO, and some ESO instances and dungeons in WoW. And have it all tied to Sheogorath, because of course it is. But, although, that's not what I want Bethesda focusing on. I want Bethesda right now to be focusing on making sure Starfield doesn't suck on release, because I'm a little sick of the, oh boy, I'm about to get blasted! Made it. Because I don't want, I know it's gonna be this, but I don't want Starfield to be the usual Bethesda game fare, where they basically release a pre-alpha title and then they just let us finish developing it. Because that's how Elder Scrolls and Fallout games work, right? Like they never actually release in a finished state. They release in like their alpha version, and then we finish the dev work on it. we fix all the problems with it. What a world. And I don't want Starfield to be that, but I know it is. I know it's gonna be that. And I'm ready. I've got my creation toolkit ready. But yeah, between that, hopefully when Starfield's done, you know, it's going to release. They'll probably give it another year of really active development before they then start to lower teams to move on to other projects. Hopefully, after Starfield, which I am very excited for. Psyched that it's what, next month? That's way earlier than I thought it was going to be. I thought for sure it was going to be a November game, and at the latest, early next year. But hopefully when they're finally done with that, they can get back to that little title they announced 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, what was it? Elder Scrolls 6? I'm still a little salty about that. The fact that we got an announcement for that all those years ago, knowing darn well they hadn't even started dev work on it. Like, why did you even talk about it? And we haven't heard anything else about it. So, TBL, that Doctor Who Magic the Gathering crossover, excited or not? No, I'm not excited, because Magic the Gathering is garbage now, and Doctor Who is worse than garbage now. Yeah, no, Doctor Who lost me as a fan a while ago. Not even their desperation play of bringing back David Tennant it could rehook me on that. I'll be really sad if Skyrim Grandma dies before ES6 come out. Yeah, man. I feel that. That lovely old lady who just spends her time in Skyrim. I get it. Over the last 2 months, I've probably spent about 100 hours in Skyrim again. Going through another playthrough of it. Went through a lot of the best quest mods like Vigilant and whatnot. Glenmoral. Good stuff. It really, you know, I get the meme about Todd Howard releasing Skyrim every year. But that game really was just, it really is one of the greatest of all time. Just one of the greatest gaming experiences ever made. There's a reason they can keep releasing it on every single platform and having it sell well enough to justify them doing it. You haven't played Skyrim for a while? Wow. Load up Mod Organizer 2 and hop in there. It's worthwhile. And also, the big titty mods have just become immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. Let me guess, Jodie Whittaker was a bridge too far? No, everything written around Jodie Whittaker was a bridge too far. I don't mind Jodie Whittaker as an actress, she's great. But man, some of the storytelling there, the timeless child nonsense was awful. Oh my goodness, some of those episodes were physically painful to watch. And then their response, it was just like the just off the cliff there. It was just, to me, it was just like the Amazon Lord of the Rings show, where it's just bad writing, awful episode structure, storytelling was damn near unwatchable. It was just an unwatchable mess. Like, I actually can't believe I spent time watching that season. Haven't watched anything beyond it. It's just trash writing. Oh, man. And now I've reminded the world of the Amazon Lord of the Rings show. Have they announced whether or not there's going to be a season 2 of that? I almost want to see if they're gluttons for punishment, because you know it didn't make its budget back. You know it didn't. It was bad. For anybody who didn't watch it and loves Lord of the Rings, that Amazon series was bad. It was really bad. It was hilariously bad. Not as bad as Willow. Good Lord, Willow was... man. That was painful to watch, too. You know, that's a better comparison for the Doctor Who. It was like Willow. By the way, one of my favorite movies growing up. It actually hurt my soul. It hurt me spiritually how bad that show was. So bad. Disney didn't even pretend it was going to get a season 2. Like, no, that one's done. That one's just done. But yeah, the Amazon Lord of the Rings series was bad. And like bad in like the worst type of way, in that it was bad writing. The characters were all super annoying, or just hard R, like R-E-tarded. some of the choices that they make there. Like Galadriel wasn't Galadriel. I don't know what character that was. It definitely wasn't the Elven Witch Queen. It's a lot of questionable decision making in that show. And like some of the storytelling in it was directly violative of lore. It just straight up violated established Lord of the Rings lore. In really dumb ways. Why? I don't know. I'm not gonna get into it. It was frustrating. It was a very frustrating watch. Changing the origins of the Doctor like that? Yeah, if you're gonna change the origins of a character that monolithic, just that important, that storied, it has to be good. The Timeless Child origin was stupid. Not just that it was depressing, it was stupid. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was... Oh boy. Hey, open up. You're supposed to be open. Yeah, that was frustratingly bad. Yeah, Demon Fox, Shirley Curry. She's an old granny who streams Skyrim. Because it's her favorite game. It means a lot to her, and she just makes videos, and I think live. Well, no, maybe she doesn't stream. I think she just makes videos. Actually, she's not like RS Golden Glory. May he rest ever in peace. But she just makes, she has a Skyrim YouTube channel because it's just her favorite game. Just the sweetest little old lady. She's like 80, just making Skyrim videos. I love it. I wonder how many big titty mods she has. Wasn't Jodie herself, but Chibnall's direction and writing, absolutely. Jodie Whittaker's a great actress. It was a garbage show. And not just that, it was one of those garbage shows where you could tell after the writing, like after around episode 5, you could tell that the writing was geared towards the fans who were upset with it. And I really dislike when shows do that. She-Hulk did that a lot. They started basically making fun of the people who are supposed to be the audience you're going for, because they knew people didn't like the show. And so they just started, you could tell the writing basically started focusing on people's dislike of the show and then sort of making fun of them. And you should never do that. That's been a trend for like new age writing, and I don't know why it is. Don't insult your audience. Hey, open up. Question mark? Sorry, gotta focus on surviving here. That's enough of your shenanigans. Here we go, boys. You hear Microsoft won the Blizzard company? Yeah, we were just talking about that a little bit ago. It's going to be interesting. Going to be very interesting to see where that goes. Yo, David Fear, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Says, how much have I missed? Oh, not too much. We were talking a bit about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition. Whether or not it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, I think it's way too early to tell about that. Some people think it's going to be a bad thing. They think it's going to ruin certain games, like Halo got ruined. Me, I don't think it's going to make anything better or make anything worse. I am utterly neutral on it. Could make things better, could make things worse. Yeah, Marcus. That's fair enough. I mean, just started on Kick. By the way, kick.com/theblack link. Go and check your boy out. I'm not going to be getting any $100 million contracts anytime soon, but still enjoying I'm enjoying right now the rise of alternative social media platforms. It has made me so happy that there are other places beyond YouTube and beyond Twitch that are viable now. Rumble is absolutely killing it. I oftentimes get more people watching on Rumble than I do on YouTube now, and I've noticed a lot of the channels that I watch are moving over to Rumble, or at least hosting their content over on Rumble as well, and getting either commensurate levels of views or more views on Rumble. A lot of people are adopting that platform, and I could not be happier about it. For those of you who are out there following me on Rumble, of course, rumble.com/theblack-link, thank you guys so much. YouTube has been such a nightmare, really, for the past 13 years? Since 2010, since the Google acquisition, it's gotten progressively worse and worse, to the point where I don't think it's ever been worse on YouTube right now, worse on YouTube than it is right now. Starting a channel and getting any sort of traction is so hard. You are fighting the algorithm every step of the way, and there is absolutely no creator support there, none. Whereas on Rumble, it's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. They've been progressively getting better and better. Their live streaming interface is getting better and better. They actually work with some of their creators. They don't algorithmically hide any of their creators' content. And of course, dang, man's got bodied. There is no arbitrary censorship based on rules that the platform refuses to actually define. That's one of my favorite things about Rumble. What's not allowed on Rumble? Well, basically nudity, and even then they kind of err on not banning your content, but just saying, hey, don't do that again. I've seen a couple channels flash a nipple or two accidentally. There was one channel I watched, and they were scrolling down their timeline on Twitter looking for a specific tweet. Always a bad idea to do live on stream, by the way. And they came across a Twitter account that they follow. Now, they only streamed it for a second or so, but it's a Twitter account that is hilarious. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a crazy schizo who basically just rates celebrities, but specifically celebrities who have had nude leaks. And one let's just say the celebrity that he was rating there, he had a picture of her up where you could see inside of her. And I remember the dude was streaming and he was just scrolling through his Twitter account and he follows that guy and that tweet came up. He was like, oops, I just showed you what the inside of a uterus looks like. But he didn't get banned. I think I remember like a Rumble moderator said, hey, listen, accidents happen. Don't make a habit out of it. And that's it. YouTube would have been like, nope, you violated a community guideline, so we have to take away your ability to live stream for about 14 days. Sorry. Which they do anyway for, arbitrary rules that they don't define. I'm so sick of YouTube. And I've been making YouTube content since 2007. It's really kind of amazing how long I've been on the platform, and I loved it. I still do. But it's just, it's become a place that's combative towards creatives, towards their creators, towards the people they've got signed. And now, we're in a world where there are alternatives that are viable, and Rumble is absolutely one of them. And it's the same with when it comes to Kick for Twitch. These are viable alternatives that aren't anywhere near as censorious as the platforms we're used to. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Because Rumble's so much better? I agree. I greatly prefer Rumble. They've still got a few things they need to fix up. Like, their UI has gotten much, much better. It used to be awful. You guys know I'll never lie to you about stuff. Rumble's UI used to be pretty darn bad. But it's gotten much better. There's still a few things they need to add. Picture-in-picture mode would be nice. But even without it, one of my favorite things about Rumble is that they have car mode. And basically what that is you can start a live stream or a video on your phone, and then basically, turn your phone screen off, and it'll still play the video in the background, so you can listen to it while you're driving or when you're at work. Oftentimes, that's what I'm doing at work. I'm listening to a live stream on Rumble or something. It's a great feature. It's something I wish YouTube would add. But yeah, we could use some picture-in-picture mode. Hey, use your shield, please. Thank you. Bada bing. But yeah, it's getting better by the day. They're signing a lot of big content creators. They just got Rice Gum. They are trying to lock up the Zoomer views. They got iShowSpeed, Kai, Rice Gum. All the little Zoomies love them. Shoot, Andrew Tate is on here. They're doing good. I hope they don't pull a Mixer. Right now they're signing a lot of major talent, which is good because they're trying to get those audiences over onto Rumble, because you got to spend a little money to make a little money, and they figure if they can get those audiences over on Rumble, moving those super chats over to Rumble, and getting that ad revenue on Rumble, then they it'll be worth the initial investment, and that's something I believe in. But you don't want to be like Mixer was, where you kind of overspend, but then don't get the amount of views that you need to justify it. Mixer spent a bunch of money, got guys like Goth and Ninja, but then they just couldn't seal the deal when it came to Murder Hornet. Oh no, this man is Japanese. They just couldn't seal the deal when it came to actually getting viewers over there. Now that doesn't seem to be the problem when it comes to Rumble. Some of these Rumble live streams be getting hundreds of thousands of viewers. Like I said, the Tate brothers were live yesterday, and I scrolled past that. I don't really watch Andrew Tate or anything, but I did pop in to see what they were doing. They had like 400,000 people there watching live. Whoa! Even if Rumble's inflating the number a little bit, it's usually based on some sort of algorithmic thing. It still means an incredible amount of people were there watching. And that's good. That's very good. I'm happy for the platform. Got it. I discovered Doomcock because of She-Hulk Backlash. Best thing to come out of that. Love that character. I unironically love Doomcock. And yes, you can clip that. TBL loves cock. Doomcock. That dude's got a great channel. He's probably one of the most creative YouTube channels I think I've ever seen. For those who don't know him, he's here on YouTube. You should definitely check him out. He basically does a lot of pop culture stuff, specifically around television and movies when it comes to Disney and stuff like that. But he plays a character, basically a version of Victor Von Doom, named Victor Von Doomcock. Or Dictor Von Doomcock. That's even funnier. But he basically does everything, all of his videos in character, where he's a supervillain in a lair in the center of the earth. He has all these little extra characters that he voices when he's doing like movie reviews and show reviews and stuff. It's great. The dude's phenomenally creative, and he covers like leaks from companies and whatnot when it comes to movies. And he actually got a little famous for some of his rants. So famous, and some of his leaks, he leaked the plot of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which, by the way, was trash. If you haven't gone to see it, don't bother. I did it for you, don't worry. It's trash. It's, in my opinion, quite a bit worse than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which everybody dogs on. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was alright. It wasn't great. It wasn't even good. It was alright. It was watchable. That movie gets way more hate than it deserves. Wasn't good. Certainly wasn't up to the standard set by the previous three Indiana Jones movies. But it wasn't this awful, unwatchable mess. It was okay. It was silly, but it was okay. Dial of Destiny is not even okay. It's awful. But Doomcock got a leak like 2 years ago that wound up being basically accurate towards what the plot of the movie was. He leaked it a few years ago, and apparently ever since then he's been on Disney's radar. And so much so, they essentially made a mockery version of him as the villain in She-Hulk Season 1. If you guys watched She-Hulk Season 1, it was terrible. It was not great. But do you remember the bad guy from that? Like the weird incel group dude with the mask or whatever? That's pretty clearly a shot at Doomcock. Like, pretty clearly. Which is hilarious. They got so butthurt over him that they put him in their show as a bad guy. That's funny. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I agree. Doomcock is phenomenal. The guy's very, very funny. Very entertaining. Very much enjoy his videos. Luke says, agreed, listen and watch videos by Crime Guy, Deadbug, who is pretty raw and blunt in opinions, so nice to catch him on Rumble and Vimeo. Yeah, man. Like, you want to know who I want to see come to Rumble? When he finally, gets his rights back, I want to see my man, FPS Russia, come back, make a comeback, and come to Rumble. The legal case against that guy was nonsense. Free my brother, FPS Russia. Oh, that'd be phenomenal to have him come back and make more gun videos. And he could do it on a place that isn't gonna ban him for it, because YouTube is definitely not friendly to gun videos these days. They're technically allowed, but like you almost always get a community guideline strike for even showing a firearm in a YouTube video. Pure cuckoldry. Sounds like Mr. Peabody. That's actually a decent comparison for Doomcock. Very funny though. I gotta get me a Harvey Cthulhu plushie. Yo, David Fear, you're gonna be making a channel for race videos? Right on, man. That's what I like to hear. I love Indiana Jones, but knew that movie was going to be trash. Honestly, they should have stopped with Last Crusade. Agreed. Indiana Jones was, growing up, one of my favorite trilogies of films. They're just absolutely phenomenal films, and just the character. Like, he's a mythological character to me. Like, Indiana Jones was like what every dude wanted to be when they grew up. The kind of manly man adventurer that every kid from the 80s wanted to be when they grew up. And it really hurts that Dial of Destiny kind of poops on that legacy a little bit. A lot of bit. Not a fan of it. Dial of Destiny must be trash. I've had 2 different ads giving away tickets for it. Yeah, it did awful its first week. And, you know, the trend is with movies like that, if they don't do great on the first week, they ain't gonna do great on any week after that. A lot of people were making a big hubbub about the fact that it got beat out by The Sound of Freedom, which I hear is phenomenal. I want to go see Sound of Freedom. For those who don't know, that's the Jim Caviezel movie, where he basically plays a DHS agent who, based on a real story and a real guy, but a DHS agent who was going undercover and busting human trafficking rings, specifically child sex trafficking. I want to go see it because it sounds amazing and everybody's told me it's amazing, but man, I don't know if I can. Like, that kind of, oh yeah, I forgot this is new Lake of Shadows. Garbage Lake of Shadows. I don't know. I don't want to see children hurt. It sounds like it's a rough watch. From everybody that I've heard of who's watched it, it sounds like it's a rough watch. Which it should be. You know, it's tackling a very important topic. A real thing that happens in the world today. Massive shout out to it. I'm glad it's doing well. It was mid. Dial of Destiny can't even get there. Yeah, like everybody hates on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because of some of the goofy parts of it. Like we all know, the fridge nuke. it was goofy. This isn't the first time Indiana Jones has survived something crazy. Remember in Temple of Doom? I think it was Temple of Doom when they go off the cliff in the raft and just land in the water perfectly fine. That was about as crazy. but yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was goofy. But it wasn't that bad. It was mid. It was perfectly watchable mid. But yeah, Dial of Destiny is an absolute unmitigated L. Don't go watch it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the $8. You know, because you guys are all old like me and you go to matinees, right? Right? You guys aren't young and go to like nighttime screenings of movies, right?
Well, I've got to be there for the matinee. That way I can get out for my mid-morning nap and make sure I get down to the Waffle House for the early bird special.
Please tell me. Please, I need to hear it. I need to hear that I'm not the only person who only does matinees. Oh, boy. These old bones. But anyway, speaking of L's, would you guys like to hear TBL's latest and potentially greatest L ever? Essentially what I've been dealing with for the past week and a half. Oh boy. Want to know if you guys, if you're ready to hear about my big my big L, which might be worse than the Wendy's story. It might be worse than the Wendy's story. It's probably, yeah, you know, it's definitely worse than the afflicted jelly bean story, where I was cursed by my little brother. Man became a plague doctor and spread a little bubonic plague to me through a vector of jelly beans. Yeah, you guys want to hear it? You want to hear my greatest defeat? Wait a second. Jonathan's not here, right? Good. He doesn't need any more ammunition to use against me. All right, so in the life of adulting, there are things that you got to do that you don't want to do. All kinds of nonsense. In particular, house nonsense. You know, you gotta You got home insurance, you got property taxes and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes that changes on a year-by-year basis. And right now, the housing market in Florida is absolutely wild. Property prices are super inflated because of the number of people moving down to the state from other states like New York and California and all that kind of stuff. But in particular, property taxes in Florida have been shooting through the roof. Like it's been a little bit ridiculous right now, to the point where people are kind of questioning some of our state legislatures on why exactly we're paying so much more in property taxes. But anyway, I got my updated property taxes for the next year. I pay those out every November. But generally speaking, in the summer, around June, is when they basically send me their estimated update for what's expected out of the escrow that I pay into my house to cover property taxes. And so this coming year, it's going to be quite a bit higher than what it's usually been. So I thought, okay, well, that's normal. That's okay, whatever. But I noticed something when I was looking at my tax bill, my property taxes for this year. Oh, well, here in Florida, we have and it's in multiple states, but here in Florida, we have what's called a homestead tax exemption. And what it is if on your primary residence, you're basically allowed to qualify for a lower tax rate based on, we got to go and grab this again, based on the overall value of your home. And the way it generally works is if you've got a home that's like $50,000 or below, then you can basically qualify to have half of that, or to enter a tax bracket that's worth half of that value. So rather than paying taxes on a $50,000 home, you pay taxes on you basically pay taxes on on your home as if it were valued at $25,000, which is a significant reduction. And then it goes up like a tier every $25,000 or every $25,000 of value in your home. So it's a very, very, very nice tax benefit to have, because it cuts down the amount you're paying in property taxes by quite a bit. If you've got a home that's like valued at anywhere around like $150,000 or more, like you could be paying a third in taxes if you qualify for the homestead exemption, which basically everybody does. But when I took a look at my tax bill, I noticed for the next year, like they didn't have my homestead exemption listed on there. It's like, oh, wow. I don't know why that would have changed. I haven't refinanced or anything like that, so that shouldn't have come off. But I figured, okay, well, that's just a small error. That should be something easy to fix. I just contact my property appraiser's office, tax office, and tell them, hey, I got my tax bill for next year. You guys didn't apply my homestead exemption on it. Could you please apply that so that my tax bill for the next year is cut in half? And like, that's for the value of my home, that's about what it would do. It would almost cut my property tax bill in half, which is phenomenal. So it's something I want to have, and something that, been taken advantage of. Or so I thought. So anyway, I call up the property appraiser, and I'm like, hey, got my tax bill for next year. It's going up by quite a bit. And they're like, yeah, everybody's taxes are going up a lot. And I'm like, yeah, but mine's really going up. And when I got my bill, I noticed that my homestead exemption wasn't on there. Is there any particular reason for that? And they're like, oh, well, did you refinance or buy a new home? I was like, no. Oh, so this is the same home you own? I was like, yeah. And I've owned it for, oh, good gosh, 10 years this year, I want to say. Yeah, I've owned it for 10 years this year. Oh, no! Well, rest in peace to me. They're like, oh, that's odd. And they read me back my address and all that kind of stuff. They're like, oh, okay, well, we do see here that the homestead exemption wasn't applied for this next year. But when did you say you applied for the homestead exemption? And I was like, I applied for it years ago. I had this homestead exemption for the longest time. And would you like to know what the property appraiser said to me? No, you don't, stupid. I said, no, we're looking at your tax bill for the past couple of years. You've never had a homestead exemption on this property. ever in the last 10 years, you've been paying way more, basically twice as much in property taxes as you should have been. And I was like, wait, what? No. No. I told her, no, but listen, bitch. And I was like, wait, no. I absolutely signed up for a homestead exemption. Like, not only did I sign up for it years ago, but I re-signed up for it when I refinanced 3 years ago. And they're like, yeah, we see that application in here, and we see it was never finalized. And I was like, well, why wasn't it finalized? And they're like, well, it looks like there might have been something with the deed or something, the title. If a name on the deed changed, it looks like that wasn't updated in our system. So, like, you've just been paying 2 times as much in property taxes for the past 10 years. It's like, well, yeah, and it looks like we have in our system that we reached out to you about this, at least 3 years ago when you refinanced, because we saw that you still hadn't fixed that deed issue. Like, well, what's the deed issue? Well, they're like, well, it's not there now, but after that initial deed issue, which was like, I don't know, 6 years ago, you needed to refile for your homestead exemption. Like, wait a second. And y'all couldn't have called me or anything like this. I spoke to somebody from the appraisal's office when I refinanced my home 3 years ago, who walked me through the process of reapplying for the homestead exemption. She walked me through everything. I talked to her on the phone, just to make sure all of that was okay. And I remember her telling me it was all good. And the office was just like, well, we didn't process it. So your boy TBL has been getting turbo cucked for the last forever on property taxes that have been way higher than what I actually owe. Now, normally in this situation, the appraisal's office, if you can prove to them that you had properly applied for an exemption like this, you can go in. You got to talk to them. You got to provide a bunch of nonsense to prove that you did properly apply. They'll cut you a check for like the previous year's taxes. I don't think that's happening in this instance. Particularly because they claim they sent me a letter, at least I think 2 years ago, basically saying, hey, your homestead wasn't accepted, and we need you to come in and fix it. I never got a letter about that, but they claim they have it in their system that they sent it, and that's probably going to be game over for that. So I'm just SOL. Oof. It hurt. It hurt real bad. My wallet hurt real bad because I've been paying way more than I need to into my escrow account. And it was going to be way more this next year. And that's the other part of the L here, because I still basically have to pay more in taxes until my homestead reapplication can get processed. And they don't process that until after March of the new year. The deadline every year is March. And those homestead changes usually those tax changes usually go into effect in August. So I have to basically reapply. I'm still going to go up there and talk to them and see if maybe they'll at least cut me a check for the last few years since my refinance. I'm not going to get 10 years of tax payments back. That's not going to happen. It's absolutely, they are not going to give. Could you imagine how much money that would be? We're talking possibly tens of thousands of dollars. That's not happening. But at the very least, I might be able to get the last year or two of extra in taxes that I've been paying back from them. But I got to go in there and talk to them and then basically present my application, which means I have to find the application I did a few years ago after my refinance, which is going to be a gigantic hassle. But yeah, I still won't get my lowered tax rate until August of next year. So I'm still going to be paying the heightened taxes until then. That's Not great. That was the thing I was dealing with last week. A nice little realization as I looked at my bill and realized, oh, I'm not getting a thing I thought I was getting. Only to be told, no, stupid, you haven't been getting it at all, like almost ever. Only me, man. Only me. Taxation is theft. 100%. Taxation is theft. Now, here's the bad thing. That's only half of the story. Oh, when I say I got bent over by taxes last week and the week before, I mean I got bent over. So would you like to hear the other half of this story? And Liz, my moms and dads out there, I know Dad, Marcus, and Shiloh are sweating right now listening to this. Baby, it's about to get way worse. So naturally, after having that conversation with the appraisals office, like, all right, whatever. Okay. It's got me looking at my records and all that kind of stuff. And around this time of year, in August, is when my home insurance also renews. Yeah, just like the tax rate renews, in the fall, my home insurance policy also renews. And so I got taking a look at that, I noticed how much I've been paying in home insurance, and so I had a few questions, but I got a nice little letter from my home insurer. And if any of y'all live in Florida, you know what I'm about to say. You know what's happening here. Where they basically gleefully told me, hey, we're getting ready to renew your policy on your home, and here's your new rate. It's double what I'm paying right now. My new home insurance policy is double. Actually, it's a little more than double what I'm paying right now. And that's insurance is going up all over the place, but part of the reason is here in Florida, of course, we have hurricanes all the time. And a lot of insurance companies got raw-dogged in the last few years with some of the big hurricanes we had because they had to basically all pay out a ton of claims. But in particular, about 2 to 3 years ago, there was a great scam going on. Well, I won't call it a scam, but they call it a scam going on where basically roofing companies, because of the way some of the insurance laws work in Florida, some of those insurance companies were basically not allowed to deny claims for hurricane-based damage to roofs, and they were not allowed to drop a policy because of a damaged roof due to a hurricane. And scummy-ass insurance companies were doing that all over the place. Like, if we had a hurricane and you had water damage to your roof, they would just drop you. They'd say, oh, sorry, but your roof is damaged and that violates our policy. Bye. It's like, well, I mean, you guys are my insurance company. You're supposed to be covering the cost of a roof replacement. And they say, well, we only cover... This actually happened to my parents last year. We only cover explicitly hurricane damage to roofs. I'm like, okay, well, my roof was damaged by a hurricane. They say, oh, no. That wasn't hurricane damage. That was, and I quote, wind-driven rain, which they classify as something different. Wind-driven rain. What the hell is a hurricane other than wind-driven rain? That happened to my parents last year, who, they had some wall damage from a hurricane that we had that caused some damage to their wall. It caused a downstairs room to basically get flooded over. There was damage to the wall, damage to the floor. It was about $25,000 worth of damage. And they just said, nope, not covering it. Just sorry, we can't cover that. And their excuse was, yeah, no, that wasn't caused by the hurricane. That was caused by wind-driven rain. Now, the only consolation I have for that, so my parents basically had to come out of pocket $20,000. I don't know how my dad had that much money. Probably had to finance it. But they basically had to come out of pocket to repair the damage themselves. The only consolation I have is the fact that insurance company went bankrupt a few months later. Which turns out that's the reason why they denied it. But that was the excuse they gave. The premium for this new policy is literally A third. A third. Not of what I would be paying with my new doubled premium for this next year with my former insurance provider, but what I was paying previously to the rate hike. It's a third of what I was paying for the same coverage. Your boy has been getting fleeced for a decade. So not only have I been paying